going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Knight. So here's the deal. Psych Ward is going to be here. Let me know if you guys can hear me too. Like, I honestly want to know. Um, so Psych Ward will be here shortly. He has to tend to his daughters. Um, Luckily, mine is at an age where I don't have to worry about that so much. So we're good. Um, But let's talk about something. Let's talk about something while we're waiting for him. Let's talk about this inauguration that just happened. Let's talk about it. Fantastic. I, as a veteran myself, freaking super thrilled. I'm super thrilled, like completely thrilled about it. Um, it is almost surreal. Um, exactly what's been going on. Hold on, let me turn this down. Like it's like super bright. Like oh my god. There you go. That's better. All right, fantastic. Um, it's almost surreal though, you know. Um, and then to think like all of the problems that we were having for 4 years, 4 years of open border, closed, day one. Like what? It was that simple the whole time? Really? Um, to stopping with stupidity. Stupidity. Like stupidity was rampant. It still is. It's still very rampant, but um, you can't stop all of it. Not within 24 to 48 hours. But what Donald Trump has been able to do, what? Come on. Come on. And people were like, he's a tyrant. He's a racist. He's what? uh, then let's talk about something else. He ended um, the federal, what was it? I think it was like 1864. I don't remember. Somewhere in there. The equality thing for the federal government. He ended that mandate that gave the federal government guidelines to follow for equality. He gave them guidelines, or they were given guidelines. I don't remember what it was. I think it was might have been 19. I'll have to pull it up really quick. Let me pull it up. Because I don't want to give you the wrong date. Because then you could be like, "Oh no, you're giving me misinformation." Blah 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 blah. No, 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 no. Okay, it might have been 1964 was Equal Pay Act. There's an Equal Pay Act that started in 1963. Okay, the Civil Rights Act. That's what it was. Of 1964. Okay, prohibits discrimination in the United States federally from a federal perspective. So federally, the federal government is saying, hey, we have set guidelines for the federal government for federal employees to be non-discriminatory. Non-discriminatory. You cannot discriminate on race, gender, religion, none of that. None of it. In 1965, okay, there was an executive order put into place. Okay, the Civil Rights Act was in 1964, and in 1965, there was an executive order put into place. Okay, the executive order is literally just a mandate of guidelines. And here I'll even um, yeah. So in 1964, Congress passed Public Law 88-352, 78 Statute 241. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Okay. In 1965, they passed an executive order, was passed down from the president, Reagan, I believe it was, and it was to essentially lay out the framework and the guidelines and the path of doing this to make sure that it was actually working. What Trump did was end that executive order. He ended the executive order. That was it. He didn't get rid of um, the civil rights. He didn't get rid of that. Those are inalienable rights. Doesn't matter where you come from. Those are your rights. Okay, those are your rights as an American citizen. So, if you are not an American citizen, and this is something that came up, if you are not an American citizen, you do not have American rights. Sorry. If they don't have them in Mexico, you don't have them here. I don't know what to tell you. But you're not going to come here and live off of my dime. I barely have a couple nickels to rub together to make one. So what makes you think I'm going to let you live off of any of it? So, it, all of that to be said, um, and I take that back. I do believe it was actually Carter, maybe it was Carter that was actually in office in 1965. Federal, federal. So yeah. Anyways, he ended illegal discrimination and restored merit based opportunities. What is wrong with that? Can somebody please explain to me what is wrong with ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit based opportunities? That means it doesn't matter if you're black, white, green, purple, orange, gay, you like it up the nose. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. It doesn't matter. As long as you do things and you put them, you're putting forth like your best efforts. What's wrong? I'm confused. You don't like merit based because you don't like doing the shit that you got to do. Sorry, that's bad luck. Don't know what to tell you. Uh, you want to call yourself a doctor, but don't have the proper documentation to say that you're a doctor, which I have seen actually been happening here a lot lately on multiple social medias. I could probably get a couple names if you really wanted one. One of them is a female that supposedly went to 6 different colleges, probably didn't pay for a fucking dime. of any of it, um, is calling herself a doctor. A doctor of what exactly? Nobody knows. So, oh, look at that. There's psych word now. Uh, so yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is what has happened. I'm gonna go ahead and bring you in, psych ward. There he is. I'm gonna bring you in. I'm just talking about inauguration week for the, this everything that's happened. Let me see if I can figure out a different way to actually set this up. No, can you hear me though?
I can.
I didn't know if anybody could hear me because nobody's really said anything yet. But I got two people watching. So anyway,
Okay.
yeah. Let's spread that back out. That looks fine. We're good there. So yeah, I was just talking about inauguration day and week one of Trump being president and how fantastic it is to hear some of the things that have been said. Like, and a lot of people seem to be confused about a couple things. One of them being the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the, I don't know who that is, the um, the executive order that was put into place the very next year were a set of guidelines to help enact the Civil Rights Act, and how it was a framework realistically for the federal government, so that way they were actually following the rules of the Civil Rights Act. A lot of people don't know this. They think that, oh, what Trump did, he just ended civil rights, and now black people and brown people and Mexicans and Chinese and doesn't it, no, that's not what it is at all. He just ended a an executive order that realistically doesn't play any part in the public whatsoever. It was a guideline set in place for the federal government, and people are confused by this. And the fact that he ended illegal discrimination and restored merit-based opportunities. What is wrong with this? I'm so confused.
My gaming group is about to take a teleportation circle into the Nine Hells.
Well, I mean, we haven't been living there the past 4 years. We've been living in the Nine Hells for the past 4 years. I
We
don't.
uh we entered a building. So one of the guys he found a teleportation helmet, like the helm of teleportation, which means he can teleport anywhere that like he's been before and take us with him and all that stuff. I think you can use it like 3 or 4 times a day. Um, and then if you are using a teleportation circle,
Yep.
you can use it no matter what. Like it's just usable whether you've been there before or not. And we entered this like house where these people got murdered, like, and I mean like desecrated, like murdered. And then there's like all these like uh portals where like the fiends left through the portals to go back to the Nine Hells. But because I'm a paladin, I could see them. And so we've located one of the portals and we're going to jump through it. And that's where we left off our session.
Oh, nice.
um, yeah, no, I mean, I think he's done a lot of good stuff so far, but I don't know. I just I enjoy my game time away from it all.
Yeah,
But
and I agree. Sorry, I had to send a text message. Um, so I agree with that. I wanted to talk about that for a little bit because this is week one, and I mean the fact that I've been able to see we go from an open border for 4 years, and within 12 hours, within 12 hours, the border is shut down.
I can speak on FEMA. So he mentioned some issues with FEMA when he had that conference about North Carolina
In
and
California.
California. Yeah, but
Yep.
So I did body recovery and disease control in Katrina, in between deployments.
Right.
And I was also, uh, for a couple of weeks on and off, I was the incident commander for certain sections of it, right? So because the
Mhm.
Coast Guard tends to take on that role. So, anyways, and we had to work a lot with FEMA, and they really dropped the ball during that portion of it. Like we had to do everything basically. Like Coast Guard kind of put everything together. FEMA was kind of like dragging their feet,
Right.
and
Well, I mean, and
and
there are
the state.
there's federal involved in that, and it's a lot of red tape.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, we're federal too, but um, you would think an organization like FEMA would be similar to what the Coast Guard is, because like we're the ones that started like instant command system, like all that stuff, right? Which is what all the fire departments use and the police departments use now, and everything. Like
Mhm.
everybody kind of uses that same system. So that was started from a federal program. The Coast Guard's federal. You know, what I mean, like it's. Um, I don't think that that is an excusable thing just to say, well, it's because it's federal. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that
R
you're wrong on that. I'm saying for them to say, hey, we're a federal
oh,
program, so like we can't keep up with it. Um, I don't think that that is
double click on the
accurate.
spotlight.
But
There we go. Give you the spotlight.
but yeah, I mean they dropped the ball on a lot of stuff, like simple stuff like porta potties and
Yeah.
food deliveries, and I mean like
Oh.
Tide came in and was able to set up like wash systems and all that stuff before like FEMA could do anything. Like, so
There we
I
go.
and that's just a small, like not small, but that's just an organization, right? Like coming in to help out. So
Mhm.
why can they like put everything together last minute? I mean, previously working for Walmart, like we have an entire section of a 2 mile distribution center that's dedicated to um, emergency response
Right.
for like water and like certain supplies and stuff that they keep on hand just to help out when they can for specific areas, right? So like
Mhm.
so they don't have an excuse to not do their job properly. Anyways, so I can speak to that, right? Like I've actually experienced how they work and what those issues are.
Right.
And I agree, like if you don't have a system that works well, like get rid of it and start over, right? Like
Mhm.
or revamp it, you know, like completely rebuild it. It can still be FEMA, but like literally, like
I
everything needs to be rebuilt. Like it needs to
I
be
think
gutted.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that the your average workers at FEMA, like your average uh gosh, why can't I think of what they're called now? The contractors that go to work for the government. The was it Q whatever? Like you know what I'm talking about, like the anyways, the average government employees that go to work for FEMA and stuff, I think that they're there to like do their job.
Mhm.
And they tend to try to do what they can. It's when you get into the higher politics of it where
Right.
people are doing stuff because of whatever like reasons that they're bending towards things, or not doing things because it's like a beneficial thing or a I hate to say it, like you even see it like in a lot of governmental standpoints where it's like, well, if you don't have this like budget to spend, or if you spend it on the wrong things or whatever, you won't get it back the next year, so you just spend it on ridiculous stuff, and then when you actually need it, it's gone, you know,
Right.
because like we had situations where like, you know, October being the fiscal year in the Coast Guard or whatever, like if you don't use it, you lose it. And so in September, you're like mass spending, right? Like to get whatever you can get out of it that you think that you need. But then if something happens before October, you know, 15th or so, like you're SOL until you get your next budget, you know, like so
Right.
I mean we had contingency plans in place, but still if something major happened,
Mhm.
um, you're SOL, right? So there's a lot of that stuff that can be revamped and looked at, right? And it's like
Yeah.
don't don't just pull funding because it's not being used. as long as you have a credible reason that it could be used, or you have any type of case studies of using that budget at certain points of time for that specific unit or whatever, then
Hmm.
they should continue to get the budget, whether they're using it or not, right? It should just be allocated. Now, if another department needs it or whatever, then you should be able to cross share across budgets. You know what I mean? Like there should be all that stuff involved in it, right? So that's where my argument of like a lot of people say, well, you can't look at like the government as a business, and it's like, well,
That's
yeah,
what
you
Trump is
can,
doing.
yeah, you can, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think it needs to be done that way. Like we've
I,
gone too long allowing them to just have the scapegoat of it's because this is how the government works or whatever. And like it's
yeah.
that's just not acceptable.
Yep.
And
And
the
I think in some of the things that Trump has said,
mhm,
some of the things that he said yesterday during that hour-long conference at the roundtable with the mayor of LA,
mm,
the
mhm,
the
mhm.
firefighters, the Congress people, all of those, the Senate people, all of those people that were sitting there and trying to fight against what he was saying. Well, sir, we got this and we've got that, and Mr. President, this and Mr. No, shut your mouth. You know, just shut up. Because
Well, he had that.
the problem is that what Trump is saying is there's nothing there. There's nothing left to burn. What's
Mm,
safety? What's the safety holdup? There's nothing to burn. There's just get in, clean out, and rebuild.
yeah.
I'm gonna give you X amount of funds to do so. What's the holdup?
Yeah, I mean,
So
you would
I
think that I think what he was trying to get at too is like, and uh, we allow companies to do this, so we should allow people to do it. So this is um, a whole different type of disaster. But if you look at like RICRA or SARE, like any of these things where it's like Resource Conservation Recovery Act and all that stuff, like where like you're going in and cleaning up like Superfund sites from
Mhm,
like hazardous material spills and stuff like that. That was another thing that I did when I was in the Coast Guard. Um, and when you look at that stuff, like the government or the companies can spend the money to clean it up, and if they find that they're not at fault, then they can get reimbursed for whatever they spent on it, right?
right.
So why can't these people then like have their insurance companies put up the money to say here's the funds to clean it, and
Mhm,
then the government reimburse the insurance companies,
yeah.
right? If
But
that's the case, like,
you're from
um,
California originally too, aren't you?
well, I mean, I lived there. I was born and raised half my life here in Texas, and then moved out there later in like end of junior high, beginning of high school.
Mhm,
Um, but I spent a lot of time out there in the military too, so I saw how a lot of it works, you know, and
yeah.
still have family that lives out there and stuff. And but
So
um,
did any of your
it,
family get affected by it?
no, I have some friends that got affected. I have family members that used to own houses like up in the area, but they're not there anymore.
Okay.
Um, a, a few years back, I had some family members that had to vacate the Anaheim Hills
Yeah,
when those
that
homes.
was what, 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah, so like
Or
the thing is, right? Okay, so this is the other argument. Well, let me close out what I was going to say here, and then I'll go to that argument. So, anyways, you you have the ability to say, okay, insurance companies go in, give the funding to allow people to clean it up. If they don't have the means to do it, have these like contractors come in or whatever and do it, right? Put a
mhm,
cap on what these contractors can charge,
charge.
right? And fine them just like any other thing. If there is and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but if there's a hazardous, if there's a state of emergency that's actually like put out, and you go to a gas station and the gas station is charging like way over what they should be charging for gas because of the situation, um, that's a federal crime. Like they
Yeah,
can go to prison for that. Like,
price gouging.
and so same thing for these contractors, right? Like they should
Mhm,
be held at a standard of like, okay, just know when you bid this, this is your cap. You know, like this is what everybody's going to get across the board to come in and help out for this because you're like you're going to get paid, we're going to get reimbursed.
right.
So, I think that there's a way around that. The problem is that California has all these stipulations in there because they want their hands in everything, right? So they want to control how it's going to get cleaned up. They want to control like who's going to clean it up. They want to get the funding because we know, okay, what other reason other than corruption would you be pushing so hard to get the funding to come directly to you first before you could push it out to like these contractors?
Right, and
So
and
like
actually, that was
it's
one of the civilians actually stated,
mhm.
"Hey, Mr. President, if you're going to give California these funds, can you please allocate somebody to take control of this so that
Mhm.
it's not used for things that California wants to do?"
I would even pay like a Deloitte or one of those to have
Mhm.
somebody like watch it
Yeah.
and just
It
tell me like what are the funds being used for?
yeah, or a
You
JAG I
know?
mean, a JAG officer can actually do it too. Use a
Yeah,
JAG officer, like, that would be
yeah,
the
but then
smartest thing to do.
but they can be more influenced than a private company can.
I mean, that's true.
Because a JAG officer you can ruin their life, whereas you can't really do that to the Deloitte person. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if
I
it's
mean, that's fair.
if you
But and
wanted to, like you could push the right buttons to get people to do things for you still because it's still interconnected, right? Like
right.
so anyways, my whole point there um is that they should like have some type of oversight and ensure that it's getting done and whether it's California that's doing it or the insurance companies or whoever that's going to put up the money, like put the money up and then allow them to get reimbursed so that it can just get done, you know?
Yep.
And then instead of California working on how do we rebuild, they should leave that to the professionals on how to rebuild and they should be working on what's our contingency plan look like to make sure that this never happens again.
Exactly.
That's what they should be doing.
I
Like,
Instead of
shame
trying to
shame
stop
on like
Trump.
there should be a shame on us for allowing it to happen in the first place. And how do
Mhm.
we make sure that it doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
Um, but they don't take responsibility for it, obviously.
No, and they
And
won't.
yeah, so anyways, I'm trying to remember now because I was gonna go down kind of another direction, and I
Yeah.
was trying to think of what that was, and but I wanted to stay on track
Yeah.
with what we were talking about now. But yeah, the whole
I
like there's definitely routes they could take to make sure that it's being kept in check.
Right. And I mean, on top of that, though, like, Gavin Newsom spending all of this money and time to, "Oh, I'm gonna stop Trump from doing this. I'm gonna stop Trump from doing that." Why are you trying to Trump-proof your state right now when you need to go to Trump and say, "I need your help.
Yeah.
I need your help. I need your federal dollars." If you're gonna go
If Cal
to it
if California is so hell bent on being California, like
mhm.
they don't want to be part of anything, okay, well then go be California. Bye.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
like
that's what I'm saying.
cut that line
And
off.
and
Like
and
and see how you feel when you don't have funding coming in anymore.
so many people are like, "Well, yeah, but you're thinking of, you know, California versus Trump. You're not thinking about the individuals that are affected by this." And I'm like, "They chose to live there."
Oh,
They
that's where I was going to go with my next point.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. 90% of the homes that burned were highly affluent people, right?
Uh-huh.
Like they had means to do whatever they needed to do for their areas, like make sure that their houses were protected and all that stuff. These weren't like Section 8 track housing or anything. This was all like multi-million dollar and some of them more than that, right? Like
Yeah.
homes that who knows how much they're worth. I mean, Mel Gibson's house burnt down. Like all like all these like movie actors and stuff, their houses were down. Some of it is shame on them for knowing, okay, you live in this area, you know that you get affected by the Santa Ana winds, you know that fires happen in the area all the time. Why don't you have an AFFF system or a fire suppression system built in on your property
Mhm.
to protect your house? Like you
So
have the money.
a lot of them actually did. So a lot of them actually did have that, but they didn't have any water pressure
No, you don't.
backup.
The AFFF and fire suppression systems don't need water because it's a AFFF is aqueous form filling
You're,
foam, I think.
yeah,
A,
you're talking about the different stuff, but I
uh,
think it still runs off a pressure system.
no, it's a complete separate system that's based off of like a pressurized gas system that pushes it
Mhm.
out and all that stuff. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with water or any of that stuff. So it's
Right.
it's it's all individually. It shouldn't be affected by anything, any outside source. No power shouldn't affect it, like any of that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's aqueous film forming foam. And the idea is that this foam goes over it, creates a film, and then that film won't allow anything to burn.
Okay.
So, like if hot coals and stuff land, or like the pieces of debris that come over and land on it, it won't ignite.
Hmm.
Um, that's just one option, right? Like it's going to
Right.
ruin the paint on your house, but your house is still going to be there, and your insurance company is going to be a hell of a lot happier paying the repaint my house bill than it is to rebuild my multi-million dollar mansion bill. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like so,
I
so,
mean, you're not wrong there. You're not
so
wrong.
that's one thing, right? And then on top of that too, I guarantee you, if you have that kind of money, you can go through the city and you can get exceptions to have some type of in tank water system that's always got water in it, that's always stored there, and that's internally pressurized and all that stuff that could run on your property at least as a backup option.
Yeah.
As like your worst scenario option. So
Right.
there's these people had the means to do that stuff. So
Mhm.
once all this is done and they say, well, we want to rebuild, right? Okay, well, before you rebuild, like rebuild smart. Like figure out what do you need in that area. If water can't get there for some reason, what do you need in that area to help like with that? Like how do you prevent this in the future?
Yeah.
Like maybe you change what you build with. Like concrete's pretty hard to burn. You
Yeah.
know, what I mean? It'll burn, but it's hard to burn. Like
I
it's
mean,
gonna take a
Florida,
whole like
you,
it's
Florida builds all of their houses out of those those cement bricks.
Mhm.
All of
Yeah,
their houses are built out of that.
yeah. A
And
lot of countries use that. You're
yeah,
talking about the cinder blocks.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah, they just fill the cinder blocks up with concrete. Yeah,
yep, they
but
fill them
then
up with
now they
concrete.
have this like new system where you can come in, and I don't want to get super off track here, but they literally bring in this like balloon system. You tell the engineer how, like they have a couple of different ones that are pre-built, but you can get engineers to build it as well. And
Hmm.
then like you pay a percentage of it because the company will pay the other percentage of it because somebody else will use it in the future. But the idea is they come in, they they have a foundation built, right? And they put this like this balloon thing inside there and they blow it up and they literally form the concrete around this balloon thing and it creates the outer shell of the house and
Hmm.
they deflate the balloon and pull it back in, pull it back out, and then they frame out the inside of the house.
Yeah, I mean,
Like and they build a house in like it's like a 3-week turnaround.
yeah.
So
There's many options though. Like
yeah.
there's so many different options on how to do it now. And the fact here's the thing. I think California should really be thanking the heavens that more people didn't die in this situation and that now they have an opportunity to build out something that could be flame resistant, that could handle all of nature's callings,
Mhm.
and not have to worry about anything like this again.
I mean, hell, they want to recycle everything. Just put up fake trees.
Put
Anyways.
yeah, right?
Artificial turf and fake trees. There you go.
Yeah, there you
Not
go.
burn, bitch.
Yeah, put
No, but
that's that's good.
uh, or I'm surprised, and I think part of this is because we don't want to pull in too many people that are going to try to change stuff. But um, I'm surprised that like Texas isn't doing more to try to get more people to come to like the Austin area to build the amount of revenue Texas would make by saying, "Hey, we'll purchase your entire land area and turn it into like a refuge."
Yeah,
come live out here. We'll give you like a we'll even like give you a plot of land for what we purchased out there. Like for the money we give you, like you can rebuild out here or whatever. And then you have taxes coming into the state of Texas, for like property taxes and all that stuff, and
Right.
I think the concern is that we don't want people coming in and changing how Texas
Votes.
currently is structured and votes and all that stuff. So maybe make him like sign a 100-year lease or something, and at the end of the 100 years, like they either agree to vote the way we do or get the f out. Like
I don't
they don't
know.
actually own it; they just like lease the property for
They
100
lease
years
it.
and
Yeah.
see whether or not they like comply to what we want, and then
Right.
like they can eventually become
Yeah.
Texans.
You can-
Like you have to be like third generation or something before you can actually like become Texan.
right. Oh, that's good. That's that's good stuff. Oh man.
uh, but anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I'm.
my that's my thing is like there's a shame on California.
Yeah.
There's a shame on like a shame on you politicians. But there's also some like shame on you house owner because you know where your house is and you have the means to protect it and you did nothing to ensure that like you could keep it safe.
Well, and
So,
but there's so I have a big shame on you insurance companies for pulling out 2 days before all of this happened. Like they pay you
well,
millions of dollars a year. All of these people pay millions of dollars a year to have homeowners insurance, only
I
for
think
you
what
to back out.
they're saying though is there's a lot of people that weren't getting the insurance because they couldn't afford it anymore.
Well, I believe that there was a couple people that actually said that they got a phone call from the insurance company saying, "We're dropping your coverage.
Hmm.
We're dropping your
Well, it was
coverage."
because California was telling the insurance companies that you can only charge this much because the people that live here can't afford to pay anymore. But the problem is it's because California is going to cost so much to like rebuild the house in
Hmm.
that they have to charge this crazy high premium and people can't afford the crazy high premium. So it was one of those things where it's like, well, we're losing out on money. Like, why would we stay here?
Yeah.
Like it's going to cost us way too much money. And uh, okay, LA is built in a desert, right?
Right.
Like, what smart dumbass civilian, like what smart dumbass like uh, civil engineer said, let's put a city in the desert and then try to get water to it. Like,
But if
like,
you look at
the same the same thing
uh,
with like where they build all those houses, right?
yeah,
It's there natural fires occur there a lot. Like
yeah,
it's not it isn't just people like actually there was people I guess lighting these or whatever, but natural fires occur there a lot, right? And it's part
right.
of like human nature. So part of that is kind of like the same issue I have with people like move into the forest and they're like, "Oh, my dog got ate by a bear." It was like, "Well, dumbass, keep your dog inside the house if you live out in the middle of the fucking country." Like, so, anyways,
You know, that was
um,
always my biggest fear about living in Florida is because they have black bears in Florida.
yeah,
And so it was alligators and bears. Those were the
yeah.
two fears. And my dogs, because I took my dogs out to go to the bathroom all the time, but I purposely kept them on a leash when I took them out. 30-foot leash, granted, but I took them out on a leash because if a bear came running up saying, hey, you look like lunch, I was going to be like, snatch like a fishing rod and go running back in the house. Like, nope, ain't nobody getting eaten over here.
You just gotta train the dogs to go for the testicles or whatever. But
Yeah,
anyways,
right. Oh man. So,
um, but yeah, I mean, so a lot of this is there's a lot of different ways you can look at it, right?
mhm.
Um, and then you have all of this stuff too, like how much of this was preventable because they could have like cleaned out their forest properly and all that
it,
stuff, and they're like, oh well, we're not going to clean out our forest because it's natural and it's going to burn off naturally. Well, yeah, that's where you get your fires from.
Yeah.
And if you want your
Exactly.
fires to happen, it's going to burn down all these houses. So which one do you want? Like natural course with people living in it, or don't have the fires because you're controlling it, and you're taxing the people that live there to then like upkeep whatever you need to do, that like that forestation that's, or not forestation, but that coating that's on the bottom, the blanket that's on the bottom of the floor of the forest or whatever, like whatever that is, figure out how to mimic that, right, and give it back to
Hmm.
that without it being something that's flammable. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there's they can look at things differently, um, but they don't take the time to do it.
Right.
Uh, and my other thing is, um, and this is just like the way I think, which a lot of people think is fucked up, which is fine. But if if you're the mayor and like a bunch of people's houses burn down, guess what? We should be able to come burn your house down, and you get to figure it out too.
Yeah.
Like, live it. You know what I mean? Like, live it. You're preaching to us how you do it. Like, live it.
Yeah. Well, and not only
So,
that, but what the fuck was she doing in
and
freaking
and
Africa?
and give them like 20 minutes. They show up and be like, you got 20 minutes to grab whatever you want,
Yeah.
and we're burning
But
this bitch down.
what was she
Like,
doing in Africa though? What was like it that doesn't make any sense
I
to me
don't
either.
know.
Like
I'm
it
I'm sure she was spending the hard-earned taxpayers' money on something in Africa, but probably investing in Chinese stuff. I don't know. They've got a
Chinese
big
crypto.
they've got a big uh they took over a lot of stuff in like Kenya and all, like when the British Empire and stuff backed out, like China stepped in and did a lot over there. So,
Yep.
which is a smart move on their end. Um but anyways, uh yeah, I don't know. I just get very fed up with the like nobody, like the very first thing that should have come out of all of their mouths is like, no matter what happened, I'm the leader and it's on me for that it did happen and we're gonna figure it out.
Yep.
Not uh well, we were supposed to be doing this, or but like just excuse after excuse after excuse, right? Okay. Well, then turn in your resignation and find somebody that can do it.
Yep.
Like, that's right. Like, that's how it should come to. Like, if you can't do the job, then get out. Um anyways, so yeah, put them through it. Like, throw them in a firefighter suit and throw them out the fucking door of one of those like jumper planes. Go fight some fucking fires. Do something outside of sitting
Productive,
behind a
yeah.
desk. Yeah. So,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
come tell me, like,
It,
whether or not
it's
you think that water should be available there,
yeah. because of
because
a
you're in the middle of it.
because of a fish that's this big
Yep.
and and can be found nationwide almost.
Mhm.
Nationwide. It's not in just one spot. It's nationwide.
Um,
I find so much of this stupid. Like the level of okay, the level of public stupidity is impressive to me. Like
oh yeah.
I cannot make it up. Like I can't even figure it out in my head. Like how is it that you consider yourself an intelligent person with half of the stuff that came out of your mouth? Like uh for
Because they've
instance,
been
that mayor, for instance, saying things like, "Oh, well, we need to make sure it's safe for them and that there's no hazardous material." What's left? There's nothing left.
the
Like,
thing is like the people have been groomed to accept what they say.
yeah,
Like, that's what it's come down to, right? Like, they've been groomed and and it's not something that happened overnight. Stuff that's been happening for a long period of time, that like slowly, like bill over bill over bill, is like, get these people to a point to where they, like, even though they know what we're doing isn't right, they either have no recourse, or for whatever reason they like buy into it, right?
yeah,
um they drink the fucking Kool-Aid.
yeah.
It's like so, but but anyways, um so I mean, honestly, if you think about it, right? Like, I'm sure these people, I don't know. That's a whole different topic. But
Yeah, I don't
um
even know how to even begin with that because I find myself going, "How stupid do you sound?" Like, do you realize? Like, I have okay. I'm not the smartest man in the world. Like, I by no means consider myself a highly intelligent individual. I do think I'm intelligent with some aspects. I think that I've got a lot of street smarts and stuff like that with some things. You put me in a firefight, I'm probably one of the smartest people you know. But um, when it comes to things in the civilian sense, I lacking the emotional empathy to empathize with a lot of it,
Yeah.
stupidity included. And so a
We
lot
had
like
to,
Trump, I will call bullshit bullshit whenever I hear bullshit.
that was
So,
one of the costs they had, like when um, people would transfer over from like the Marine Corps, Army, Navy to the Coast Guard. And one of the big calls people would say was like, because a lot of the jobs we do is directly interfacing with the public.
mhm,
And so we have to go to a lot of classes and stuff to understand like what we do, what we say, like the things that impact people and how that looks on us for one, and two, like how they perceive us as an organization, and
right.
um so you can't just like, you know, you can't run around, screaming what makes the grass grow, blood, 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 how to make the grass grow, kill, kill,
Yeah,
kill.
yeah.
Like it doesn't work the
I don't think
same
people would appreciate that one as much as I do. Um,
so anyways, but but anyhow, so there's like, I mean, I had to give press conferences on like how liquefied natural gas would affect like an entire city
mhm,
in Southern California, like, and that was part of a Coast Guard thing. Like it's a different world, like I enj- I mentally enjoyed being deployed more than I did like doing those kinds of jobs.
yeah,
Um, because like they were extremely stressful jobs. So anyways, that what I my point is there's training and stuff that you can give for people to truly understand what's going on. The thing is, if you decide that you're going to live in an area like that, maybe there should be some regulation on the realtor, like telling you if you're going to live in this area, like here's some stuff you need to do to like prep yourself or train yourself on like what hazards exist and stuff like that, right?
right.
Like I don't know what that answer is. Like there's got to be some way though to like generally educate the public
Hmm.
on like how we do this stuff and why. Um,
Right.
so anyways, there's a lot of stuff you could say like they should have, right? Um,
Yep.
Now it's more of, well, how do we build a contingency to make sure that they do all of these things moving forward?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of things though that we've been on this topic. We could probably talk about this stuff all night,
hmm
realistically. Um, but I mean, it's more than what happened in California. Um, if you look back over Biden's presidency, because the first fires actually happened. What was it? 3 years ago, there was a big fire that happened in, I think it was Paradise,
well, it happens all
California.
the time. Yeah, and
But
Paradise is up north, but yeah.
and well, there was a huge. I know that there was a huge fire. President Biden said, "Hey, look, I will do whatever I can to help out." Blah blah blah. Never happened.
hmm
He said that for this one that just recently happened, oh, I'm going to do everything in my power to help you guys out. He did nothing. Trump gets in there. What? This is 4 days into his presidency, and he's already like, I hear you guys. We're waiving all federal regulations and all that, all
hmm
getting waived. We're not doing any of it. You're not going to pay the Federal Reserve any amount of money whatsoever. So any mandates or anything like that, gone. Don't worry about it. You do what you got to do to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Um, but then you have the mayor that comes in right behind it saying, "Oh, well, they need to do this and they need to have that." 18 months is what a lot of these people are told. Could you imagine being your house and all your shit just caught fire, and you're going out saying, "Hey, I need to get all of these things done." What's the timeline looking like? 18 months.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, right? Like um when we had the freeze here or whatever, like we were out of our house for 6 months. And that was like difficult. Like
Yeah.
and we were like blessed in a situation where like we have the means to make sure that we have everything we need, like and
Hmm.
we have like the higher end insurance. It costs more to pay each month, but we know that they're going to pay us out right away. Like we have all that stuff like set up well, right? So when that
Right.
happened, like they put us up in an Airbnb right away. They gave us like cash up front to like get more clothes. They gave us like all that stuff, right? Like um but either way though, like you're still being displaced.
Yep.
Right. Uh, some people don't function well with that, especially people that work from home and all. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
Right. And if you
So
have PTSD like we have, like
mm,
when you're displaced, that actually puts a stress on you, a burden on you that you're not used to.
yeah,
And one of the things that really helps with PTSD is routine, doing things in a routine anyways.
and
So
the sign that I hang above my rear door that says "Suck it up, Buttercup" every time I leave the house. But
there you go. I mean, it's those little things though. Those little things matter. And so I could only imagine, like, it for any of the veterans that do watch this that are living in California, hey, if you guys need a place to crash, like I got a whole upstairs, y- you know. Um, but yeah, it's just I feel really bad for it. A lot
yeah,
of those people, and North Carolina too. North Carolina, those guys are still living
yeah,
through hell,
yeah,
with
yeah,
no place to go or anything.
yeah.
So
No, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's like you said, it's a whole topic we could like completely stay on.
yeah,
So
yep.
uh So we had it like so the campaign that I guess to change topics here, and jump back
God,
into some D&D stuff. The the campaign I'm in, we recently brought in a new person. We exited one person because they couldn't do their schedule anymore, and we're like introducing a new person that's literally a brand new player. Um, and so we were looking at like helping them build out their D&D Beyond and their character sheets and all that stuff. And something I found out when looking at this was um, almost, I think it's like 95% of partnered content is not included right now in all the 2024 rulings. So if you use 2024 rules, there's very few like subclasses and all that stuff that roll over from that partner content. And part of it is legal reasons, like they want everybody to like revise their books to align with the new 2024 rulings and all that stuff and like how it works.
the new DEI rulings.
Yeah, yeah. And uh so anyways, so we found that out because the person said they wanted to be, well, two things. One is they're a brand new player. They've like watched play before, they've like heard people play, they've like read into it and all that stuff, but they've never actually played. Uh and they want to play a druid as like their first character. So we're like, okay, cool. Like
The
we're here to
hardest
help.
character
Like
you can play,
we're here
and
to help. Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to play the
We
hardest one. All
we
right, go.
explained it to the person that like, okay, just so you know, um, there's going to be a learning curve like to this character. But if that's what you want to play, great, because we're here. Like like we've all played a druid at some point in time or whatever. I played a badass druid that one time. That was fun, man. That circle of like blighted or whatever.
Yeah, the
That was
Circle of
wicked.
Blight. That was a pretty badass druid, actually. I won't even
um,
lie.
but but anyways, so a lot of us are seasoned or whatever, so we told the person like, pick what you want. Like we're not discouraging you from doing it. We just want you to understand that there might be some additional prep work you have to do to play this character.
Yeah,
Um,
lots of reading,
yeah.
lots of reading.
So so that's the first part is that a brand new player wants to come in as a druid. The second part is that we're teleporting into the Nine Hells in our next session, and, and we're level 4. So, and I'm pretty sure we're going to Avernus, uh, because it sounds like wherever they teleported to, like they were teleporting back to help out with the Blood Wars.
Right?
So I have a pretty good feeling that we're teleporting to the Blood Wars at level 4. So it'll be an interesting new session. But
Yeah. Hey, something else that we need to talk about, really quick while we're on here. We've only got a few more minutes before we gotta get off here, but I mean, we can go a little bit over. I don't want to go too far. Um, Another thing though, we should talk about what's happening with Roll for Hills and
oh
a
yeah,
couple changes that have come up,
sure.
including like the website and things like that.
So right now the website, if you go to rollforhills.com, it'll take you up to a landing page that just asks you to like sign up with us, and we'll keep you kind of updated on what's going on and to join our Discord server. Um, I've been doing a bunch of like back end work. We've got uh, a lot of stuff kind of set up. There might be some changes because of the licensing agreements with Foundry. Um, Originally, the idea was like use a couple of Foundry licenses and allow like DMs to go in and like run on them and kind of not share, but like have somebody on there at all times. Anyways, it came down to the point where Foundry pretty much told us like if they see like an overage of usage, they're going to look into it, and if it shows that we're like using multiple people to run these games, they'll shut us down, because they can't afford to support that at this point. And so I said, I get it. And it's not like they're super, super, super expensive, right? I think altogether for what we're looking at for each DM that comes in, if you paid for everything in a year in advance, like a full year, you're looking at like an initial $400 investment per DM. And then after that, it would be like 170 per year. After that, because you'd already own some of the books and all that stuff. So we're rolling back on, originally what we were going to do is we were going to look at like offering a bunch of these one shots and stuff that were done kind of through my D&D Beyond and all that stuff, and when you get all of these new Foundry licenses, you can't just link like your D&D Beyond to all of those. Like eventually it's going to red flag someplace, right? And then the D&D Beyond gets shut down and then your SOL there. So uh the direction we're heading with that is going to be more of, um, some of us will still have additional characters you can build out and specific things that you can run, that like specific campaigns you can run and stuff that might be there, like adventures and so forth. I think we're gonna the one of the thought processes I had was using the GM's Guild to go in and buy a bunch of one shots there, and then use those across the board as like the one shots we're gonna run in campaigns and all that stuff, like adventure series and campaigns, instead of the traditional D&D campaigns, unless we start making enough money to support getting those across the board. Like if we say, hey, like we have enough feedback from people that want to play this specific, setting, or whatever that looks like, then we can support it that way. So anyways, those are some of the changes. So what we're looking at is, DMs will come on board. They will partner with DMs that currently have a Foundry and a license and a D&D Beyond account. They'll work with us for a little while until we can save them enough money to then get them their own Foundry and their own D&D Beyond account if that's what they choose that they want to do, and then they will kind of take that on too, right? So after they've been DMing for a little while, then they'll step in and they'll help out other people that want to become DMs and so forth. So it'll probably take us a little bit longer to get everything off the ground. Like it won't be as fast as what we could have done the other way. But I think that we're going to be building a more secure network of DMs by doing that because we're providing them with the means to actually be a DM without them having to go through and like put it all up front and all that stuff, and like try to do it on their own. So I'm hoping that that like relates with people, right? And I've talked to a couple of people um, that have gone down the road of like being a new DM and not having like the access to everything and all that stuff and being able to use other people's systems and all that to like learn and everything else. And they said that meant the world to them. So hopefully that relates. Um, so that's Roll for Heels. There's still a lot going on with that. But we do eventually want to have like a weekend, hopefully in the next couple of months, where we can do a soft launch and we can run a bunch of free games and stuff with the DMs and just kind of get everybody aware of who we are and what we're doing and all that stuff. So the other changes for like VD4GM, and then a new name that's going to be out there, which is roll2heal.org. So nationwide, it's not just a Texas thing, but nationwide, if you put in for any type of a nonprofit license that has the word veteran in it, and there's other keywords too that like you'd have to go to other organizations for, but specifically if your nonprofit has the word veteran in it, you have to get letters at the state level from uh, the VA. I think you have to
The,
get one from the VA. Is that right? And then the veteran
the VFW
VFW.
or the American Legion, and both of them drag their feet. So
Yeah. And then on top of that, it has to go back to the state and the state has to approve it and they may ask for more stuff or whatever.
yeah,
So
it's a
the
real pain.
process for VD4GM got slow. And even if it's not, even though VD4GM doesn't say veteran because it's an abbreviation of veteran, it still counts.
Yep.
So to get around that and to make sure that we have our nonprofit up and running, because we really want these two to launch together and link together to Roll for Heels, which is going to be the for-profit that will then like every percentage of sales that we make or profits that we make off of the Roll for Heels will then go towards the nonprofit. So the nonprofit is going to be a word play called roll2heal.org. So I have rollforheels.com and roll2heal.org. Um, and the one good thing behind that is once VD4GM really gets in place, we can decide like how we want to use that. And maybe
Yeah.
that can be more like centered on veterans, but the Roll to Heal, we can start looking at like, okay, well, how do we service like um, first responders and like medical workers and like all these other people that also have PTSD and other issues, right? That aren't
Yeah.
necessarily veterans. The other thing that I'm running across when I'm doing all these studies I'm reading and stuff is like autism spectrums, right? Like there's a lot of work you can do with people that have autism spectrums. There social anxiety disorders, like I mean, there's a ton of stuff that this hits on, right? Like, and
Right.
that the peer reviewed documents that I'm reading and so forth, which will all be linked in our Roll for Hills, so people can see like what we're based off of and why we're doing it. Show like all these other people and types of people that can benefit from it. But we still want to make sure that we have like that core of like how do we service the veterans, right? So
Right.
that's where I think VD4GM will be able to come in a lot. We'd also, I think, like VD4GM to play a part in helping veterans become game masters for Roll 4 Heals.
Yeah.
So we can do all that with Roll 2 Heal right now, like just while we're waiting for VD4GM to actually like get fully put together and get off the ground.
Hmm.
But
Which
so
is
that's another change there.
yeah, that and one of the things I wanted to bring up and really emphasize on is anybody that watches uh, our podcast, if you want to get in contact with us or anything like that, go to our Discord. I'd be more than happy. In fact, I will post it right now.
Yeah.
Give me a moment here. But go to our Discord. Like, come and talk to us. Like, we want to talk to you people. We want to hear what you guys have to say. We want to be able to hit home on some of the things that we talk about on this podcast.
We have a whole section in the well, I switched it up a little bit. So we have a roll two heal section now, and we have the VD4GM section still under our Discord.
Mhm.
Um, and both of those have a podcast text channel.
Right.
So I thought about turning that into a forum channel,
Hmm.
so then people can get into more discussion topics in
Yep.
there, right? And then they can also start to give us ideas of like, oh, I'd like to learn more about this, or I'd like to hear more about that, or I'd like to hear your experiences on this or that, or um, you know, they can reach out to you, Aaron, about like, how do I deal with being a man child that likes to play games, and like, so
I have lots of experience in this. You definitely want to be talking to me. Um,
uh, but
so
but no, I mean, like, to to be serious though, like, yeah, we're gonna have a whole section where you can go in and actually like put topics that you want to discuss. The other thing too that we want to hear from people too from Rural Four Hills is like, if you want to participate for that weekend. I have not had the time yet to build out all of the social media platforms and stuff, but that will be happening soon. All of us are, working full time jobs and like standing this whole thing up and everything else. So there's a lot of juggling right now, but
I feel like I'm working like a double job where I'm working. Dude,
I hear you, man. No, I put I last week I was just keeping track because I'm slightly a workaholic.
yeah.
And so
But that's me. Like once I start going, I don't stop until I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired. I want to go home.
so
Like,
I have to like really track my hours and stuff to make sure that I'm not pushing myself too much, and stuff, and that I'm actually spending time with the family and all that stuff like that, because I'll get carried away, right? And then my job itself too, like if I would allow my job to, they would absorb all of my time, right? If
mhm.
if I would have let them. Um, so I have to really track like what I'm doing there. So, anyways, um, and I'm taking on like a new role. I'm going through the whole like uh process or what is that called, anyways, I'm going through all the process of like the actual interview processes and stuff, but it's more of a formality than anything, like to go through that process. So um transferring over to like this uh global, because I right now I'm at a national thing, but I'm transferring over to like a global forecasting thing and all this. So anyways, more work, right? So
Right.
but I've been tracking, like I've been working 2 to 3 hours every night on like Roll for Hills to get that off the ground. Like try to put some time into that and get everything rolling, and then um, also trying to work on a world that I'm trying to build out. And I've been reading a lot, so I'm just trying to like really push hours everywhere that I possibly can.
Yeah.
But it means a lot to us if you guys can go in and like just kind of give us some feedback on if you plan to attend the Roll for Heels, like what would you like to see?
Yeah.
Like what would you like to see ran? Like if there is an adventure that you think everybody should be running or whatever that we don't currently have, or if there is a something that we should be looking at purchasing that everybody should keep in their D&D Beyond, or the first setting that we should all be buying for them. So to step back on that, the idea now has gone from uh what was the last count? 78. I think I only got 78 books through D&D
Huh.
Beyond now. So
Almost all of them.
so yeah, so
Almost all of them.
the original thought process was, I've got all the books, so we'll just use my account. So everybody has the experience of building out a character that has 100 different species and 500 backgrounds, and like what. So anyways, we're stepping back from that uh, to more of a. It's going to be a Foundry account linked to our Discord. That's a D&D Beyond account that has the core books to
Yep.
start with. Yeah, so we're gonna have like the player's handbook, the DMG, and the monster manual, right? Like that's gonna be what everybody starts with. I think that's plenty. It's what
Mhm.
500, plus uh, monsters and stuff. I mean, it's not 3,700, but
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a GM and you would like to help us with this, um, by all means, definitely message us on Discord. We are available on Discord. I think pretty much 24/7.
and
So
we're not limiting that to veterans either. Like
yeah, no, we're not.
the DM
All
side of it and stuff and all that. Like
there's only a couple of things that we would like to see, like that you're looking for things that really follow our core values. Where but I know my core value is following anything that you would think that somebody's. You have to be self conscious on what you're doing because somebody is going to get triggered at some point,
Mhm.
and that you
Yeah.
are aware that it's happening and that you are able to steer what
It's a
is
little
happening.
it's a little more difficult online,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
So I
Mhm.
think a lot of that, what we're dealing with, is going to be more on like the the nonprofit side of the house, which I think we're going to be doing a lot of that in person.
In person, yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
which
it's gonna be in person.
is going to be needed because you need to be able to read the body language, what's going on, and all that stuff at the table.
Right.
And they're going to be around. It's not just a random group of people. Like
Yeah,
you're going to be around a core support group and stuff that um, will be able to understand kind of what they're going through. So,
absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
but anyways, so yeah, so we're definitely not limiting like the for-profit side or even involvement in the non-for-profit side to
Mhm.
veterans only. Like that's going to be open to everybody. Like if somebody wants to help out, more power to them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it's more of like how can we service the veterans and stuff with the products that we want to offer from the nonprofit that we're going to be putting money into. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I
Uh,
want to make sure that everybody's aware that it's not like
it's
all of
not
this stuff
strict.
isn't just strict on like you have to be a
Mhm.
veteran, you have to be like a wartime veteran, you have to be like whatever that is, right? Like we're not about that.
Yep.
Um, if you just simply want to learn to DM and come do it, like by all means,
Yeah.
like we're here, so
Yep.
um
I get behind that 110%.
but he concurs. But
Yeah, I concur.
but anyways,
I was gonna actually say that, and then I was like, let me actually rephrase this because a lot of people don't know what concur actually means. Um,
um,
so yeah, I
but
can get behind it 110%.
that's some of the changes that we've seen. So, anyways, uh, that was probably a lot, like in that time frame, whatever to go through. But
Yeah,
um,
I mean
either way, we're still
we've gone
pushing
through a
forward.
lot. You and Mage have pushed what my envisioning of what one idea was. You guys have pushed well past that, and again, like I bow down. I'm not worthy. Like you guys have done so much, and I can't show how much I appreciate seeing it. Um, and I really think that anybody that does come and play with Roll for Hills or just plays with us in general, just wants to learn how to play D&D or learn how to be a GM.
Mhm.
Anybody that comes and does anything with us, I think you guys are going to be impressed by what they have been able to do. Um, like Mage has totally revamped the original idea and um, made it just crisp and clean. And so Mage, if you watch this later, I applaud you, man. You have done some amazing work. Psych, you have done some amazing work. I know that you call me often, and I've had a lot going on the past couple weeks, and so I appreciate you guys like really jumping on this.
I
And
just, I just figured you're in the backyard trying to fish for ants. Get back
yeah,
to the roots with a
yeah,
stick.
I've
Trying to get them
I
out, but
that's probably a good analogy to what I've been going through. So no, it's been a rough couple weeks. So
for
I
for anybody that doesn't know, that was particularly an infantryman burn. But anyways,
yeah,
a
it
knuckle
was.
dragger call out. But anyways, because he's learned how to just so everybody understands, in case there's others from that side of the house. I was referencing the fact that he is going back to his roots by learning how to use a tool, a stick, to get ants out of the ground and eat them. Yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah.
sets him apart,
Hey,
right, from
hey,
animals. So,
just yeah, rub that burn. It's like salt in the wound right now. All right, that's a new level of burn. New level.
no, but
Uh,
anyways, yeah, no, I think altogether, like it's just good that we've got the group together and we're trying to get it done, and
right,
everybody's gonna have points of time that is going to be difficult or whatever, and we're not going to be able to put in our 110% all the time. So, um, but yeah, I mean it's important, right? Like it's important to do whatever we can to either eliminate or lessen the daily number, um, of veterans that take their lives or whatever, or just
right.
people in general with PTSD. Like it doesn't just have to be veterans. But anyways, um, yeah. So
Yes, sir. So I don't know. With that, I think you think this is a good closing time, or
yeah,
uh, yeah.
I mean,
You got anything you want to
I just
put
want to
out
make
there?
sure, like, if anybody like has questions or whatever, like, feel free to reach out or like get on our Discord.
Yeah,
I
definitely
haven't
get
pushed
on our
anything
Discord.
at Discord yet. Like, I haven't really done any type of advertising or social media or anything, so we haven't gotten a big following yet.
I, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
I'm gonna be getting back into the streaming soon. I haven't been able to stream a lot lately. I've had a
Mm.
lot going on, like I said. So, and I will be pushing our Discord a lot more.
Did we have? Oh, that was you doing the chat.
Yep, yep,
Got
that
it.
was me. Um, so I will be pushing the Discord out there a lot more, getting more involvement there. I will also be once we get. What do you think? Uh, you said probably like beginning of March. Be rolling out with the website
Well,
or
I mean,
sooner.
website's there. I'd like to have a soft launch sometime in March.
Okay,
Which would
so
be, and when I say soft launch, that's like a full weekend of like free games that we'll be running,
mhm, yep.
just
Okay.
to kind of get our name out there and like get people to come in and experience what we're doing, get some feedback on like what can we be doing better,
Yep.
um, and then also just give some of the new GMs and stuff some perspective of what we're trying to put together. But
We're gonna be competing with another I won't say any names, but we are gonna be competing. We are gonna be competitors.
what's a
Uh,
conglomerate? I mean, it's a big venture capitalist, right?
yeah.
So. Um, the thing is, though, is what we're offering is completely different
Yes.
than what they
Absolutely.
offer, and it's what people have been screaming about on their like forums and stuff of what they're
Hmm.
not happy with. So,
Yeah.
um, the only concern I have, and we may look at like eventually offering Roll20 games or whatever. The reason I say the only concern I have there is some people can't, they don't have the hardware or software or whatever you want to call it to support running Foundry. I don't think it takes a whole lot. I think your standard computer can probably do it, but um, there has been some people that have stated like Roll20 is a much, because you can do that over your phone.
Hmm.
Like
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff you can do from Roll20 on your phone, but I also think the market that we want to capture is different,
I
and
do.
we can go after that market after we have
Solidified our name a little bit more, I would say.
well, and targeted like who we want to target in the first place. Yeah. So,
Right.
because I think that if you're going to come play, like you're going to be a lot. I don't want. I don't want to say I don't want people to come play, but I don't want people that are like on the uh, on the train ride home doing their D&D through their phone. Like I want them to be bought into the game.
Right.
Like I want them to actually be participating. Like so that's my concern with doing Roll20 to support people that want to do mobile and all that stuff. Like I've been in campaigns where like people play mobile and they're like doing the game and watching TV and eating food and like it's like yeah, you're not there.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
so
Yep.
I kind of like the idea of somebody having to use a computer to log in
Hmm.
and actually participate. So, anyways, if for some reason though, our viewers out there that are watching or want to give feedback on that, by all means, like tell us now before we start investing money into like the infrastructure that we're going to build out. But I think as of right now, the thought process is that we're probably going to be going with Foundry. Um,
Hmm.
so it's not a solidified deal, and it doesn't mean that we can't go with Roll20, but
Yeah.
things are just a lot easier to use on the Foundry side and the D&D Beyond side than they are on the Roll20 side, especially for new DMs. So
Right. Yes, sir. So, all right. Well, with that, um, usually we have Daddy Bro here to do a little bit of a closing. We're gonna
yeah,
switch it
yeah.
up a little bit this
I, I
time.
I had to make up for his burns and my burns for you that
Yeah,
with that one
that
burn.
that
So
knuckle dragger was actually that was a good one. That was a good one. I was. Whew. I'm gonna have to go downstairs and get some aloe
yeah.
and just rub it down. I'm gonna be walking out looking like the next porno video. Um, so, anyways, if you don't want to see that. All right,
uh,
it's like the reverse OnlyFans. You'll be paying me not to see what I have to put out there.
all right.
Um,
Make it stop.
make it stop. So, um, anyways, all right. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for watching today. Um, again, I will be making sure that I am on it, the ball, from this point forward with getting the podcast out there, uh, get conversing with you guys, putting out there all the information that we can. Um, again, definitely get on our Discord and let us know, like if there's something you want to see, something you want us to talk about on our podcast, something that you would like to get advice for, whatever it is, don't don't hesitate to ask. Like we are here to do this. Um, so if you need help, 988, press one and get the help that you need. Okay, I don't want to lose anybody. I would much rather everybody come here, and I'd much rather read through comments of how terrible things are right now, but able to help you out and see the positive things than for you not to show up again. Okay. So please talk to us. Let us know what you need. Um,
And I think all of us too, just so everybody knows, like even though I can't say that I'll be on the Discord 24/7, like I'm up at really odd times.
yeah.
I get up super early in the morning to start my day. Like I have the kids and all that stuff. Sometimes I just wake up in the middle of the night. Like I mean,
Yeah.
so if you guys have something, like throw it on Discord,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
like we'll see it.
Absolutely.
So somebody will see it pretty quick. So
And then with that being said, uh, I'd love for you guys to have a wonderful week. Stay tuned throughout the week. I'm probably going to be changing up my schedule for broadcasting, gameplay, and stuff like that. Um, Psych Ward will probably have some more stuff come up, and I know we talk at least once or twice a week. So
mhm.
whatever news comes out of that, we will. I'll start taking notes and making sure it gets put out there in the Discord for everybody to know what's going on. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week. You got anything you want to end on, Psych Ward?
No. Wish us luck in the 9 hells next Friday.
Yeah. Well, if you survived the 9 hells for the past 4 years, you can survive next week.
Yeah.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good one. Take care. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.